Hi. I'm Lisa Klein, Johanna Milford, Barbara McDonald. And we're interviewing Barbara because she has had just some really life-changing things happen recently. And so I'm going to jump back behind the camera. Johanna's going to interview, but I may ask a couple questions here and there.
So Barbara, when I first came to your house and I showed you what Mick was taking by comparison to what you were taking, what was your first thought?
It was total disbelief. I didn't believe that I could solve some of my problems with a single magic pill.
Yeah.
After taking so many for so long and being so ill.
Yeah.
Over the past several years, I've used very high doses of oxygen and a ventilator.
Yeah.
And here you're telling me that Mick, who had all these other problems, is now doing fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing better too.
Very cool. Let me ask you, so tell me the disease that the primary disease that you're dealing with.
The primary disease that I'm dealing with is Myasthenia Gravis.
And how long have you had that diagnosis?
Almost 10 years.
Okay. And what's a day, take me through what a day is like prior to you finding the magic pill.
Well, I was always weak. It affects the muscles. It's a neuromuscular disease.
Okay.
And because it is, I'd have to rest several times a day. I used higher doses of oxygen because my lungs couldn't expand well.
Okay.
And my diaphragm couldn't. And I used a walker.
Oh, okay. And how long had you been using a walker then?
Oh, for about 5 years.
5 years, okay.
So I had a respirator, a ventilator, and a walker. And I wore specific glasses with all kinds of prisms in it because I could not get my eyes to focus.
Wow.
These are all effects of myasthenia gravis.
Okay. And so then you had major surgery like 6 months or so ago.
Yes,
What happened with that?
My muscles are very weak, and all of a sudden my colon ruptured and I was left with a colostomy.
Wow.
And
Did he say that it was reversible at the time?
he said it might be.
Okay. Did he give you a strong indication that it could be removed?
The indication he gave my family when I went into surgery was that I had less than 50% chance of survival.
Oh, wow.
He told me I had 3 weeks in the hospital and 4 weeks in rehab.
Okay.
And I was home on the 7th day.
Wow.
I do not really like those kind of things.
Yeah.
And 5 months later, in fact, the colostomy was reversed very successfully.
Wow.
However, this time, having been on the magic little pill, I healed so well that I walked out of the hospital on my own steam 3 days later.
Ah,
And
okay.
I had no problem.
So then, Johanna, when you met Barbara, you were just wanting to give some information that was helping you.
Barbara is the first person we have met since Mick was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis in 2009.
Yeah.
You don't have a way of meeting people that have myasthenia gravis. Even in Arizona, there's no support group, and
no
typically they're homebound anyhow.
And I understand the survival rate is you'd way outlived the survival rate.
I have, but I've worked very hard at it.
Yeah.
And so then you started taking about a half of a pill at the beginning.
Nope.
You started a full
I
pill?
went for the whole
No,
thing.
I didn't even know that.
I went for the
Fearless.
whole thing.
So you have a couple things over to your left. Show that bag first.
Well, the first week I was taking the magic pill, since I do my medications 2 weeks at a time and then rotate, I was feeling so much better that I removed this from my next week's package of pills.
And Johanna, what did you do when you saw she had stopped?
Barbara sent me the picture of that, and I about had a heart attack. And I got right back to her and said, do not tell your daughters that I told you to do that. I didn't tell you to do that. I was merely comparing notes. I was comparing what you did, how you felt, how you functioned, compared to how my husband feels and how he functions. And my husband was golfing and working.
Right.
And Barbara was unable to. So it freaked me out when she did that.
Yeah.
I was bedbound for much of that long period of time, but I'm a fighter and I kept moving, but there was nothing easy about life.
Yeah.
Boy, there is now.
Okay, so now tell me, I heard about this vacation that you took for your, can I tell what birthday it was?
70th.
Your 70th birthday.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about, now that was probably what, about 2 to 3 weeks into
Taking a pill?
It was just as I started taking it.
okay. So then what was that birthday like?
Well, first of all, I was able to go on a road trip to San Diego. 10 years I've not been out of this house or gone anywhere.
I did not know that.
Oh,
No.
wow. Yeah.
No.
Goosebumps.
I was dependent on too many things and too weak to keep up with it.
Yeah.
So I went with my 3 daughters. We had a family vacation. We drove to San Diego. They stopped when I needed them to because of restroom issues. And I went and walked without a walker, carrying my oxygen, all the way across the beach, all the way to the water, and walked up and down the edge of the water and the waves, picked up shells, things that I never dreamt I would do. And we drove back, and I made them stop at a mall so I could shop.
Oh my god. So you would say life-changing.
Oh, I'm
More
a
than
different
that.
person.
And people have said that to you.
I have walked into places and, like, even at a hospital, I walked in for a test, and I went to register, and the volunteer said, I see your name. Is that really you?
Oh, wow.
And then I said, hold on. And I flipped the video and I recorded what she said just so that, Johanna could see.
Yeah.
So all
People's
your
reaction.
doctors, are they thrilled?
Oh, all but one.
The one that
And
was writing the
I'm going to
prescriptions.
meet him again
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks, and we're going to go over it rather thoroughly
Yeah. Yeah,
because it's non-debatable at this point.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you have one more box to the side, and what does that represent?
Well, my insurance company sends me 3 months at a time.
Okay.
So they were still sending me my pills.
Wow.
These are things I don't take. As you see, the box is labeled.
So that is what you have
in
not
use.
taken in 3
I have
months.
not taken any
Wow.
of it.
And
Destroying my house.
there was a treatment that is very common
yes.
for myasthenia gravis,
Okay.
and Barbara's been doing it pretty regularly for a long time.
I've had over 1,150 plasmapheresis treatments.
Okay, so tell me, I didn't know what that was, so tell me what that is.
Because myasthenia gravis is located in the plasma of the blood,
Okay.
I had the plasma removed from my blood anywhere from 2 to 5 times a week, depending on how I was at the time.
Oh my goodness.
2-hour treatment where all my blood is removed, plasma removed, and somebody else is put in to replace it.
Wow.
And I'd feel better for a day or 2, and then I'd be back in for more. I've been hospitalized so I could get it every day.
Oh my goodness.
At this
How long?
point,
How long? How many years?
9.
9 years. Oh.
And at this point, I go in once a week.
Wow.
And I'm going to wait another month or so, and I'm considering going every other week.
Wow. That is amazing.
That's time back into your week, right?
Well, and tell
is
me,
life.
what's the expense too? Is it real expensive?
It runs anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 a treatment.
Wow.
And
Hundreds, I mean millions of dollars in just that one treatment.
I'm over 1,150 treatments, so
do the math.
And someone has to donate plasma.
oh yes, I'm dependent
Wow.
on donations.
Wow. So, in conclusion, I mean, we could go on probably for 2 hours, but in conclusion, there was one other thing before the conclusion. You were on a ventilator at night, correct?
Yes, I was.
And then, and you stopped needing that, and then?
I stopped using it for almost 3 months, and then I just called them and said, I'm no longer on it, and I want it picked up, and I want it out of my house.
Yep. So tell me this. For somebody who is dealing with something, and hope is a really dangerous thing, and so that's the one thing I think sometimes when people have a very difficult diagnosis, that hope is something that they don't want to go back into because they're comfortable with where they are. But you would say to somebody, take the chance? What do you got to say?
Absolutely. Does it work for everybody? I don't think so. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
Did it work for me? It started almost immediately.
And interestingly,
it
Barbara,
gave me my life back.
Yeah.
And
I could ask for more.
And what's interesting about that statement is that's a perfect statement. What we have found is it works for 100% of the people 100% of the time. And there's so many studies. You aren't taking a risk of swallowing snake oil. You really are taking something that has 27 universities. And I'm sure as an educated woman as you are, that played a lot in your decision.
I did
had
research.
that. Yeah, that had that.
Peace of mind.
I did research, but I must tell you, we met in the restaurant. We spoke about it. Johanna came over the next day, and I did swallow that pill that day.
I didn't even know that.
I researched and read
Yep.
and validated, and yes, I did take it.
I did the same thing that you did.
Yeah.
And Mick did the same thing that
Yes,
you did. So,
Nick swallowed it at a restaurant with
So-
me knowing nothing.
so that's it. We hope that this is of benefit to somebody who's suffering, because there's so many people suffering. And if the answer is, a little magic pill, it's worth a 90-day experiment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
blood work doesn't lie.
Nope.
I'm at 100% on my blood work every single
It
week.
doesn't lie.
100%. I have no highs. I have no lows. And that is so rare.
Yeah. And she stopped
For me.
eating iron and potassium.
I'm taking potassium, but I was getting infusions of iron. I haven't had one in all these months.
Wow.
And my iron isn't low, even with the surgeries.
Yeah.
It's just so awesome. So
Who knew?
try it.
Pretty darn